If you're walking around in Kingston, Jamaica, what they will say is that Arnett Gardens is their team. And those of them that say they aren't, they'll say Arnett Gardens is their second team. And that is the challenge that Deportivo Arabe Unido will have today as they look to keep a 3-0 aggregate intact. As you see right there, the pitch conditions a little bit cloudy, as you will see on the far side of this pitch. As you see right there, the Arnett Gardens delegation led by Jerome Wade, the head coach of Arnett Gardens, but also the assistant coach of Tapa Whitmore with the Jamaican national team, as he looks to revert a very negative situation, and he's been able to spin it in a very positive manner. As you see right there, Herediano and Deportivo Universitario on one end, Motagua and Portmore Football Club, Portmore United advancing, and those four teams will match up amongst each other. FAS waiting to see what happens here as the Salvadorian Giants will look to the land of Bob Marley, Usain Bolt, and Tapa Whitmore to see what happens. You see that man right there? Blas Perez, signed just scarcely 10 days ago, looking to end where he had it all begin. The Panamanian international coming off one of his most glorious moments after being part of the World Cup team, first ever for Panama. Now he comes back to his homeland to close out what's been a brilliant career. As you see right there, both teams getting ready to come onto the pitch. The officiating crew led by Gladwin Johnson of Guyana, looking to really advance things and making sure that everything's on time and going rather crisply. So Arnett Gardens, the most popular team in Jamaica, the most, I guess you can talk about it from a fan standpoint, the biggest fan base, as fans still coming in and many looking to see what happens. A very interesting venue, as that will be the case here in Jamaica. Deportivo Arabe Unido, team that is perennially as well, but in the Panamanian League, fighting for the league title. Plaza Amador, Tauro, amongst those that are constantly fighting for the title there as well. And they know that they have a task at hand, that it might seem easy on paper because of the advantage that they have, that they do have a margin of error, but a team that's determined and is going to go with everything they have could complicate things from the get-go, and that's why they have to try their best to at least find a way to get that away goal, and that's when things get really complicated for the home side. Which of the two will have their respective strategies come to fruition? We will find out shortly. So both teams ready to go here at the office. As you see right there, Damian Hyatt, who had a very busy night in Panama. He will be in goal. Only one change overall compared to the match, to the away leg from just scarcely a week ago. Jerome Waite bringing in Kimani Arboin and removing Javoni Sims from the starting 11. That is the only change. Looking to be more offensive, having to be more offensive from this perspective, as they have that disadvantage that they have to try and overcome. The faithful are here. The fans are waiting to see what happens. But more importantly is that you see Sean Fuentes, the media officer, coordinating things, making sure everything is okay. And Gladwin Johnson, as I mentioned before, the referee from Guyana. Mostly Guyanan crew, as Joseph Bertrand, the only member of this crew from Trinidad. Kevin Stevens of Guyana, and Sherwin Moore, he will be the fourth referee. So you see right there Hyatt, who was one of the standouts for the Jamaican outfit, as Arnett Gardens looking for goals and need them quickly against a team that might be a little bit more defensive and even borderline looking to counterattack, as of course Chin Ormechea, the man of the match just a few days ago with the brace coming from in the back line, paired up with Roberto Chen. Alexis Palacio and Abdiel Macea, well, they're both out of the starting 11. Leslie Herales and Gabriel Brown coming in for Colombian coach Carlos Ruiz. And it'll be interesting from a strategic standpoint how Árabe Unido will look to take on this match, maybe looking to absorb pressure early on. But remember, one of the things that Jerome Waite did mention at the outset and leading up to this match was one thing: we had chances. They had about 5 or 6 quality opportunities against Árabe Unido in their own backyard. So it will be something to look at. It'll be something to observe how Árabe Unido defend, but also the timely opportunities. Will Arnett Gardens look to take advantage of the chances that they will have? Most likely they will have them because of the matchups and what they were able to create in front of goal. That could be repeated. But again, there is a need for urgency, but then also add a little bit of patience and clarity to make things happen. Of course, one of the heroes for Árabe Unido was that man right there, Miguel Lloyd, as he had some incredible interventions and really was the reason why Arnett Gardens pretty much had to suffer a clean sheet in front of him. So a lot of factors that come into this. Árabe Unido looking for a return trip to the semifinals and looking maybe to go a little bit further, as the opportunity to get to the finals was denied to them back in 2017. And they know they have to be careful, and they have to also be aggressive, because they just saw a few moments ago what happens if you aren't aggressive and you don't have the clarity necessary to make things happen, as they saw last year's finalists, or one of them at least, in Santos de Guapiles, go down and be eliminated at the hands of Portmore United. And we're underway. Portmore United had a lot of opportunities. Will Arnett Gardens be able to duplicate that? Arnett Gardens dressed up in the traditional Arnett Gardens uniform, red and black shorts. Árabe Unido on their away whites, going to the left from the right. And some quick move and trying to establish themselves down the wings. Arboni looking to try and create something, as he will definitely be moving back and forth, and of course he'll be moving from side to side, trying to be able to open up the defense a little bit more and seeing where the opportunities can come from, as Marvin Morgan losing that first touch. But you see this team capable of doing some important things as the ball into the area. Here's Reed, and a good save there by Miguel Lloyd early on, just over a minute in, and the first opportunity landing in front of the home crowd. And of course they get excited quickly. Here's a good opportunity coming up off the corner kick. Again, this is what Arnett Gardens are going to try to do. Deep ball, trying to beat a very slow Roberto Chen. Chen, of course, coming back to Panama after a stint in Costa Rica with Liga Deportiva Alajuelense. The ball into the area, still moving around and not being able to get that final decisive touch. As they continue going forward, at least now favoring Árabe Unido. Big chance here. We just saw a few minutes ago, and the ball going right back to Arnett Gardens. Reneke Anderson out wide for Arboine. Anderson again, as you see right there. Jerome Waite, as he will be keeping an eye on what goes on, not only here, but also with the eventual call-ups that will occur, as Jamaica have a couple of friendlies leading up to their participation in the inaugural Nations League. Tapa Whitmore already getting that list ready to go, as Castaño, Mauricio Castaño over on the wing, looking to try and be more collaborative offensively. Carlos Ruiz, the Colombian, who's really been in Panama for a few years. Was one of the coaches that was being touted by Hernan Darío Gomez, who was, until a few months ago, actually a few weeks ago, I should say, was the national team coach of Panama, now with Ecuador, as he helped lead Panama to their first ever World Cup. Of course, a lot of these players for Arnett Gardens looking to capture the attention of their head coach, and at least put a good word in for Tapa Whitmore to start looking at them. Another deep ball. Arboina, but coming off his line is Miguel Lloyd. Who was being talked about by some of the Panamanian journalists. They weren't really happy with what was going on as far as the team selection for the World Cup. Some were touting him, but of course he was not part of the final list. Again, here's a good opportunity. It's Morgan making it 1-0. Another defensive lapse and fully taken advantage of. Marvin Morgan, 1-0 at 5 minutes. And the comeback is starting to come on. You see right here, the defense, who's going towards him? No one. Took full advantage of it, and the defense just a couple of interventions already, and it seems like Roberto Chen is sleeping. Seems like the defense is sleeping. Very rough start for Árabe Unido. And this is exactly what the doctor ordered for Arnett Gardens. Now they are piercing through the defense. Here's another chance, trying to double their lead right now. Another opportunity, clean and very skillful there by Jose Garibaldi. But it's Arnett Gardens putting the pressure on, tightening the screws up. Ricardo Oldham. Again, give a lot of credit to Arnett Gardens. They have been the proactive team, the team that had to be proactive for all intents and purposes. Of course, that ball goes right in, and the opportunity is offside was being called. But a tremendous opportunity against a somniferous defense. And just absolutely, see right there, the offside. And Miguel Lloyd he was just daydreaming or he was looking over at the far side. The view, especially at night, spectacular from the far side of the pitch, because over that you have the view of one of the more posh and more exclusive neighborhoods in Kingston. That, of course, being Beverly Hills. But nothing as of right now from Deportivo Arabe Unido. That man Marvin Morgan giving Arnett Gardens the lead in this match, with still long ways to go. Here's another chance going to Árabe Unido. Morgan having to backtrack as it was Raúl Peñaranda not being able to lock and load. Gonzalez stabbing it right through, looking for Gabriel Brown as he goes down. As the big corpulent central defender, Arnett Anderson. Looks like he could play first line in rugby. Be one of those lines right there. The ball goes through and out the foul. You saw a lot of bodies bouncing back and forth. An offside is being called there by Kevin Stevens. I don't know, maybe, let's see right here. Now, that ball does go through. No, I don't think it was. But then again, you have to look at the depth perception of the play, where the assistant referee is, where the first player is, the one that's being called for the infraction, and where the player that's keeping him onside or not happens to be as well. So again, that's where you have to see the depth perception of that particular play. That's the reason why Kevin Stevens called it the way he did. As I mentioned, or it's been mentioned, I haven't mentioned it per se. A lot of times what referees are being told, even assistants, if it's that close, don't call it. Chino Mechea. And again, already 10 minutes into this match, and one of the words, or some of the words that were mentioned by Jerome Waite, becoming a bit prophetic. Him talking about his team needing to create opportunities. The handball there. Again, it's a very tricky surface, especially the way that it's being maintained. Again, offside. Again, cleared away by Chen. Put back into the middle dangerously, and not being able to collect it there in the end was Morgan. Deep ball again as it goes over to Faber Gil, the Colombian. Which is very erratic defending from Árabe Unido, especially with two central defenders as experimented and experienced as those two, with Chino Mechea as well as Roberto Chen, two players that have been on the Panamanian national team pool coming through, and it's Brown. As Árabe Unido just looking more to defend than anything else, and waiting to pounce when there's a potential counterattack opportunity. Like right now, Gonzalez, Gil, as he gets brought down, and again it's Arnett Anderson. Shot from outside, and looked like it was going out of bounds, but easily collected there by Damian Hyatt. Gonzalez losing the ball. Now a good opportunity here for Arnett Gardens. Looking deep, but a foul called all the way back, as Arboin was not going to be able to catch that ball, or even catch up to that ball, I guess I could say. But it was Gladwin Johnson calling the infraction as Marvin Morgan looking. play down the wings has been lethal for Arnett Gardens tonight so far. Trying to go down the middle. Fabian Reed can collect it. Morgan. And just trying to go deep to push up the lines and reset. If they're able to win that first ball to create something off the second, even better. Brown. As Oldham just waits for that ball, reset and quickly going up the pitch, trying to be as vertical as possible. Miss hit there by Brown. Now goes to the flag, and fortuitously, at least for Árabe Unido, ball comes through, and again another mistake, giving that ball away. Reed. There's a good chance from outside by Oldham. One of the problems that Carlos Ruiz was talking about, they were well aware that they were going to be the second match in this encounter. And Ruiz was talking about how he saw some issues with the pitch, depending on how aggressive or how physical the previous match was, and that could be a factor as well. But if you even want to look at how that goal went in, there's really no excuse. Another deep ball. They're really trying to exploit that left side of the Árabe Unido defense. It's going to be a corner. As Brown, the young 20-year-old left back, left perplexed as to how that ball went through. But again, the experience from Arnett Gardens showing in that play. Kimani Arboin definitely creating an opportunity here, manufacturing what could be a potential dangerous chance here in the 15th minute of play. Árabe Unido on the verge of either really locking this match down or seeing a 3-goal lead evaporate as Lloyd gets taken out from behind. There, just as that ball was getting away from Lloyd, and he got bailed out there on the foul call. It's a very, very humid night in Kingston. Another chance here with Morgan as he switched over to the left side, trying to cross it, and another corner kick coming up for Arnett Gardens. Interesting to see what this team can do. Some communication there going on between Sherwin Moore and Gladwin Johnson, the fourth referee, and the referee on the pitch, respectively. Trying to clear it out, but no way they can recover. Again, it's Morgan. This time he was caught offside. He was returning from an offside position. And that kills off a potential attacking opportunity for the home side. Castaño. Another misplayed ball towards the middle, really giving a lot of space in the middle of the pitch for Arnett Gardens to exploit, especially down the wings. And that's one of the reasons why Gabriel Brown was starting. Diel Macea, not the type of player you want out there, especially with a faster type of player. And again, a mistake here that really could create. Ball into the middle, they can score. Oh no, took one, maybe two too many touches. Did Raul Peñaranda. That was a first-time opportunity. He collected it, and by the time he went to get that second touch, he hadn't locked and loaded yet. And that ball, a wasted opportunity there by Árabe Unido. Four of these players. Now, again, you start to see Árabe Unido begin to carburate a little bit better. That'll be their first corner kick opportunity. Of course, all eyes, especially if you're Arnett Gardens, you're going to start looking and focusing in on Chino Ormechea. As his performance so far in this tournament, as well as throughout his performance in the Panamanian League, as a ball just wide, it was Roberto Chen. You start looking at pretty much the entire back line for Árabe Unido, with the exception of Roberto Chen. Part of the latest call-up from Gary Stempel, the interim coach of the Panamanian national team, as they begin their search for a replacement. Stempel, of course, the English-born Panamanian coach, was one of the architects, or one of the original architects, of this growth of Panamanian football. Brown. Many were crediting him with the jump in quality of that, if you want to call it, albeit it sounds trite hearing it from a lot of different countries, Panama's golden generation, if you will. He was the coach that was responsible to taking them to their first ever Gold Cup final. But at the same time, that was, of course, short-lived because they didn't qualify for the 2010 World Cup. They didn't even get to the hexagonal round. And that cost Gary Stempel his job the first time around. Castaño. Of course, he did get to coach in the Gold Cup back in 2009. But by then, Panama was already out of the World Cup qualifying play, and he was already gone. But now he comes back, but in an interim role. And we'll see what happens with Gary Stempel and what his role will become with Panamanian football. Will it be in development? Will it be as a sporting director? That's a question that will be consistently asked in the weeks and maybe even months to come, as the new Panamanian national team coach will be defined at least by the end of the year. We have Brown giving chase, and speaking of which, Brown, one of them that was already called up for the matches coming up in August. Next week, as a matter of fact, those players are reporting for a mini camp that Stempel has already set up. Peñaranda losing the ball, and Arnett Gardens trying to recover it as quickly as possible. Here's Arboine. Looking deep. You do have some pacey players up top. You're not going to be able to. It was Decoy Williams, former Jamaican international, still within the national team pool as well. As Jamaica also looking for their national team side. Tapa Whitmore already has in mind a starting 11 for the friendly against St. Kitts. They've already played St. Kitts. Have another friendly against them in the next couple of days. In the past few minutes, been Arnett Gardens just losing the handle of the ball as Árabe Unido has been able to possess it better. There's a foul being called. That could have gone both ways. Just a bit of a Charlie horse, or see what happens here is just a knock there of knees. That's as the magic spray being applied there to Marvin Morgan. Now, he did take a good knock there. So overall, it's one of these situations where you start to think about, okay, what do I do in the event that this does have to require a substitution? Or you start looking at the bench and there's Jamar Jackson, Vishnul Harris, Jamar Martin, Javoni Sims, who was the starter in the first leg, Damari Deacon, Ronaldo Wright as well. Those are the 7 options for Coach Jerome Waite. It looks like he'll be fine. He's had a little bit of a Charlie horse. He might be sore. Probably will be sore tomorrow. Another deep ball and not much going on. Also, Jamaica will have a couple of friendlies come September. One of them will be up in New Jersey as they face Ecuador, as they prepare for Nations League as well. Panama will have a series of friendlies as well. They haven't been announced just yet. Arnett Gardens looking to make their announcement here on the opposite side. They try to make it 2-0. Lennox Russell crossing it into the 18, not with a great deal of precision, but just enough to at least make it uncomfortable for Árabe Unido. Russell once again turning, spinning, looking. Another chance from outside, poked away, and another opportunity is it's a point on the far side now, as he and Morgan switch back to their original positions. Remember, this is where they started from. Another ball coming through, saved by Lloyd. Ball rebounded, it'll be a corner kick as it goes off of Gabriel Brown. And Árabe Unido just being bombarded with crosses, unable to clear out, as it's right there, almost ended up being an own goal. Neal can serve that, and you hear the Arnett Gardens fans. Skied straight up. Not much really being done on that opportunity. It's pretty much the cross that didn't allow for a good chance on target. Right there, Lloyd with some great reaction after the deflection. As after that initial flurry, Arnett Gardens have taken the foot off the accelerator just a little bit. Also give some credit to Árabe Unido, who have been able to at least hold the ball a bit more consistently. Chen. Castaño deep again. So far in the first half, both midfields, as far as conduction is concerned, have left a lot to be desired. Both have been a bit of super highways where both have been conducting through. Not a lot of marking and a lot more spaces being offered and conceded. Lennox Russell trying to get past Brown. Nice opportunity here. Is ball going right back as it's Gonzalez. You see how much space is being conceded in the middle as Gonzalez again at the controls. Heraldes, another ball coming through, and you see how easily, and another chance, another ball that comes in. What a golazo! What a golazo! What a golazo by Leslie Heraldes! Wow, a sensational strike. All you need is just a little patience as that ball moved and weaved around. You had 4 defenders around Heraldes. None there until the very last second, when it was actually not even the last second. That ball was already gone when Decoy Williams decided to intervene. 1-1 at the office. And what a goal that is, as the away goal helping Árabe Unido solidify their case. What a finish by Leslie Heraldes, as the home faithful, well, they're already thinking about making plans for Thursday night. Heraldes at 29. Now it's a 4-1 aggregate. But also keep in mind that away goal is one of the things that Arnett Gardens stopped doing was pressuring like they're looking to do right now. And whenever they did have the ball and decided to be on this side of the pitch, they weren't too effective with it. Again, you start to see what Árabe Unido are able to do with open space. Just clearing it. I'm not exactly sure what was being done there, but I guess the idea was to just try and get the ball out of the possession, because if that opportunity ends up getting past Reneke Anderson, there was a lot of pasture to roam behind him. We get into the final 15 minutes here at the National Stadium in Kingston, Jamaica. Marvin Morgan early on in the 5th minute of play, beginning to give some hope to the home side. But then in the 29th, Leslie Heraldes with a sensational goal. Right now you can start looking at it as a candidate for goal of the tournament. See Castaño as Heraldes again pushing forward. And it's interesting to see Heraldes because one of the players that this Árabe Unido side have learned, or at least are learning to live without, is Nelson Barahona. Again, the ball coming through down into the middle. Here's Heraldes collecting it. The ball gets deflected right off of the humanity of Jabir Johnson. Finally, Damian Hyatt able to collect it. On that one, nothing that he could do. Let's see how Arnett Gardens regroup after that. There was talk as well as Luis Pereira winning that ball in the middle. He's become more active as well. The middle of Panama's, or of Árabe Unido's midfield has really become active. Here's Brown, who joins the attack. Back into the middle. Gonzalez. Castaño making a run into the area. You start to see a couple of players as well. Oh, that ball could have gone through in the back, and that would have been some real bad news for Arnett Gardens as they're trudging along in the back line. Another header, cleared in. Here's a good chance. Oh, poorly hit. Rolls right to Damian Hyatt as he thought that ball was coming at a faster pace. That's why he was able to collect it, and now you start to see Arnett Gardens showing some frailties in the back. Reed losing the ball in the middle of the pitch. Gonzalez coming through and losing his footing. No foul? Nope. Just lost his footing. That was plain and simple. Marneal. Morgan pushing forward alongside him. It's Ricardo Oldham. Back to Morgan. Tamar Edwards shooting from long distance. Final 12 minutes of this first half. It's Roberto Chen, player that was being looked at as far as the Panamanian national team for the World Cup in Russia, but was taken out of at the 35-man list. A lot of questions about his health coming into that prep phase of the World Cup, and again, a lot of room. The defenders dropping back and staying back and not really applying any pressure, giving a lot of room to charge forward. Here's Árabe Unido again down the right side, and there's been a lot of players falling down on that far side. Of course, got to give a lot of credit where credit's due. The footwork was rather impressive there on the far side by Fabergil. We saw in the previous match the ball that ended up eventually becoming the 2-1 for Portmore United. One of the defenders for Santos de Guapiles ended up losing his footing on that far side of the area, and that's, again, something to be looking at. Not the first time that happens. You start to see Arnett Gardens begin to get further and further away from Miguel Lloyd's goal. Balls like this coming through. Here's a good chance. Speaking of which, into the area, coming through, trying to chip it in. It was already out of bounds according to the defense of Árabe Unido. It'll be a goal kick. Took way too long as there was a great run that was being made right down the middle by Jabir Johnson. But Fabian Reed did not see him. Shows you a great deal of where this team is unable to really create those last and second to last touches that are more effective. Decoy Williams goes off of the neck slash shoulder, I guess you could say, of Jose Garibaldi. Pereira splitting through, and just really now you start to see an Árabe Unido that really are handling the ball at will. Good ball into the middle for Lennox Russell, but intervened very well by Roberto Chen. Another ball to recycle in the middle here for Arnett Gardens. Pereira. Heraldes. Gonzalez back to Pereira. Gives it back to Gonzalez and Pereira. They're both weaving through. Had a man out wide. Leaves it right through. Oh! Missing the target. Almost hitting the Bob Marley statue. Of course, there's a bit more distances. That's on the outside of the stadium, but you get the point nonetheless. Missing the target by quite a bit there. Ricardo Oldham just frantically dropping back to see if he can at least get a foot or interfere with the path of that ball. Not to be. Boyne, who's kind of faded away a little bit after a furious start. Morgan. Ormechea. Oldham. We get to the 39th minute of play. Arnett Gardens trying to reorganize themselves. Nice opportunity, and even better defending. Again, you start to see the Jamaican side still looking for chances. That ball deflects off a defender. It'll be a corner kick coming up for Arnett Gardens. Looks like it went off of Chino Ormechea.
Ready? Yep, we go.
The ball coming through, nobody striking a chance from outside. Just remember that Roberto Chen coming to Árabe Unido. He's currently on loan from Alajuelense over in Costa Rica. As this Árabe Unido side really beginning to gel a little bit more. If you start looking at some of the players that left. Players like Joseph Cox, Josimar Gomez, as he went to Plaza Amador. Cox went to América de Cali in Colombia. Carlos Small was on loan, and of course he was over the Rio Grande Valley FC. Of course, Nelson Barahona, as I mentioned before, he made a move and he's over in Costa Rica with Cartaginés. And Josiel Nunez, of course, one of the players that helped lead Deportivo Universitario to the next round of the Concacaf League. So you see some important pieces to Árabe Unido's puzzle of success the past few years leave. So you start to see other players begin to step into those roles and doing so quite well, at least in CONCACAF League play. Castaño back to Leslie Heraldes. Gonzalez to Brown. One of the players that Gary Stempel called up. Ball just dumped into space, and Brown and Peñaranda not sure if that was intended for one or the other. Pereira making sure that ball doesn't progress, so Arnett Gardens have to recycle play and begin all the way from the back with Rannicky Anderson. Neal. And finally, it's Lennox Russell that ends up hitting the deck. It'll be interesting to see if this man will pull the trigger in the second half and decide to give Blas Perez at least 20 minutes. Ball still on the ground, still bouncing around, but Miguel Lloyd able to collect it. going to almost getting there. Of course, things getting a little bit frustrating for some of the fans. You hear some of them giving indications. As Árabe Unido looking to keep their unbeaten streak alive. That's a bit of motivation for them. Gonzalez, ball bouncing around. Bit of confusion there, but still having to go to more unorthodox methods of goalkeeping. Damian Hyatt, unorthodox but still effective. As he barrels into you, I'll prefer leaving that responsibility for Raúl Peñaranda. I'll stay and be safe myself. Of course, as I mentioned, the Panamanian League already underway for Árabe Unido. It's Chino Ormechea. Currently in the midst of a 3-match unbeaten streak to start their campaign. You see this team, of course, they started with a 2-2 draw against rivals Tauro. And they beat Alianza 2-0. Of course, this past weekend, they actually, more specifically, on Friday, last Friday, really, they didn't have much time. They were actually given 4 days in between matches. As they played last Tuesday, as the ball's coming through, it'll be a goal kick coming up. They beat recently promoted side Costa del Este. You see right there, at least in Panama, where this match is being broadcast, they're looking to see the return of this man, Blas Perez, who last played for Árabe Unido 17 years ago. So 17 years and 14 clubs later. One of the leading all-time leading goal scorers in Panamanian football history, as 2 minutes of stoppage time have been added on by referee Gladwin Johnson. That was a great presentation on social media by Árabe Unido as far as presenting or making it official. It looked like a old-fashioned letter, kind of like those that people would send to each other from long distances, declaring their love to one another, and that was exactly it, as the first yellow card is going to be brandished here in the 45+1 minute. As it goes to none other. Just wanted to make sure that, just to make it official, there's Jabur Johnson going into the referee's book at 45+1. So going back to what the announcement, Blas Perez pretty much saying every good history, every good story, I guess, has to have a great ending. I couldn't leave in an inconclusive manner a chapter where I could come back to the team that I love the most. Gonzalez coming through, not being able to split the defense on that one. As Peñaranda trying to find Faber Gil. Brown trying to show a little bit more flair. One shows flair, the other one flails. So to continue that, good work there by Garibaldi. Finish that love story later on as we end up 1-1 after 45 minutes plus 2. As a bit of a problem to start out for Árabe Unido, but once they were able to gain control, it was all good. Leslie Heraldes with the equalizer and the away goal, really looking to seal the deal. 45 minutes left for Árabe Unido to do their thing. We'll be back after this. Because of necessity, Arnett Gardens needed to have the ball more, and they did. 55% tells you what they were able to do. In the first half, it was also quite prevalent that they had to do it in the defensive end of Árabe Unido, but it was Árabe Unido that was effective in controlling it in the second 20 minutes of this first half. So again, you start to see the balance in how the scales begin to tip in the Panamanians' favor, slowly but surely. It was a tale of two halves within a half. That's pretty much how you have to look at it from every perspective, because things looked rather dangerous for Arnett Gardens. Great effort there by Fabian Reed, but then an even better one by Marvin Morgan, as he caught a somniferous defense that struggled to get their footing early on. And for the optimistic, it was a chance, hope. It was an opportunity. For those that were a bit more pessimistic, some would start looking at it as a wake-up call, as Árabe Unido slowly but surely got back into things. But you did have an Arnett Gardens that continued to threaten. An Arnett Gardens that continued, despite their imperfections defensively, at times making them pay dearly, as this one by Leslie Heraldes, curling upper 90, only where the cobwebs start to grow. That's the difference in this match, the big one. Árabe Unido started to take advantage of that. As I mentioned, the perfect imperfections of Arnett Gardens at times were looking to try and have their fans fall in love with them in these types of situations, but it was their play that ended up being in a bit of a deficit. Necessity, of course, was the reason why Arnett Gardens had to have the ball. But Árabe Unido, when they were down 0-1, they knew that that ball had to belong to them, and when it did belong, it was more effective. But that middle of the pitch seemed more like the highway between Kingston and Ocho Rios that they built just a couple of years ago, instead of a solid fortress that couldn't be penetrated. It's interesting to see their match coordinator as well as the media coordinator there for this match, at least Sean Fuentes. He's the press officer for the Soca Warriors. Speaking of Soca Warriors, I wanted to send a shout out to good friend and broadcast partner Brent Sancho. I know he's somewhere in Kingston watching right now. So we're waiting for all 22 Gladiators to come back onto the pitch for the second 45 minutes. The objective for Árabe Unido is to remain focused. The objective for Arnett Gardens is twofold. Obviously stay focused on the task at hand, but also push, push, push forward. Right now, with the away goal being scored by Árabe Unido, with that goal, now Arnett Gardens need 4 to be able to start dreaming about the possibility of advancing to the next round, where the winner of this tie would face Club Deportivo FAS. Of course, the beloved club of my good friend Elmer Polanco. You see right there, 4-1 aggregate. If Arnett Gardens score 3, Árabe Unido still advance on away goals. Give you a quick recap of what went on. It's Faber Gil with the ball. Did some interesting things on the right wing for Árabe Unido in the first half. Heraldes mistimed it, misjudged it. Now the big question is, will Blas Perez get a start? Remember, after the World Cup, he went on vacation. He did sign with Árabe Unido, where he wants to end his career. This will be his final semester as a player. He will retire in December. At least that's what he said. He will look to retire in December. Now, it would be interesting to see, let's say Árabe Unido ends up making a run and wins the Concacaf League. Will he reconsider and stay on an extra semester so he can be part of the Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League, which starts, of course, in February. But after 21 years as a professional, Blas Perez is saying so long Admitting it due to a marvelous career that has seen him span through 15 teams. Has won titles in Mexico, has won titles in Colombia, obviously won a title here actually with Panama, over in the Panamanian League, I should say. So that really says a great deal about how important he's been. Nice little move there by Jose Gonzalez. Again, it's Gonzalez. Heraldes. Ball coming through. Here's a good opportunity. Oh, wrong-footed it. Needed to take that shot with the left foot. Still doesn't go out of bounds, and Arnett Gardens looking to break out. Again, the ball recovered quickly. Pereira. Pereira again with a give and go. Pereira. And you saw there that it was Peñaranda not looking to go through, because if not, he would have been in an offside position, letting Pereira get it. Garibaldi. Faber Gil trying to get past, as you see a much more comfortable Árabe Unido off the ball. Gonzalez. Heraldes says they do not let Arnett Gardens touch the ball. They do not let Arnett Gardens get out of their own half of the pitch. And you see right there a desire for Blas Perez. You say he doesn't want to play anymore. Well, he wants to retire, but retire with a league title and maybe a little bit more. Hyatt in goal. As you see right there, Arboine and Giovanni Sims, which is the only logical substitution right now. Really has not been able to find his way after a great start as time progressed. And one of the factors why Árabe Unido were able to really establish themselves was exactly that. Players like Arboine really not being able to create pressure. Giovanni Sims coming on. That's one of the things that Coach Jerome Waite was talking about. Wanted his players to really create pressure, opportunities, chances in front of goal. They started doing that at first, but it faded away rather quickly. Faber Gil going second post. Not much going on there. Marvin Morgan. Again, Morgan, and the foul will be called retroactively, and card will be issued here. Only one, so far, one has been given out. Of course, we'll say Jabir Johnson. Overall, there's a couple of factors to come in when you look at the individual play of Arnett Gardens and how it really diminished as play went on. That Árabe Unido were able to really establish themselves and start to really get that rhythm that they needed to have in order to really impose their conditions upon their opposition. Looking to go through and finally cleared away there by Garibaldi. Oldham. Tamar Edwards. Run being made on the far side there. As Fabian Reed looking for something. The chance right to Miguel Lloyd. Just to give you a quick reset, as I was mentioning, Hyatt in goal, Johnson, Williams, Anderson, and Lennox Russell. Neal, Edwards, and Oldham. Morgan, Reed, and now Giovanni Sims, who replaced Kimani Arboine. Up top for Jerome Waite. Meanwhile, for Árabe Unido, Miguel Lloyd in goal, Garibaldi, Ormechea, Chen, and Brown. Pereira, Heraldes, Castaño, and Gonzalez with Peñaranda and Gil up top for Carlos Ruiz. Corner kick coming up here for Arnett Gardens as we get into the 53rd minute of play. Looking to go right down the middle. Second ball coming through. Not being able to collect it. Here's Marvin Morgan that collides. Ball bouncing, and so are the bodies. A chance, the shot that sails and continues to sail wide of target. That was interesting to see how eventually the attack was going to go down the middle, but it was through a second ball and one in the back. Not the best opportunity there by Tamara Edwards. As Arnett Gardens looking to see how they can create an opportunity from anywhere in any way. Again, those types of mistakes are part of what have been the undoing of Arnett Gardens in that second portion. You see Blas Perez getting ready. He's talking in an interview how important that World Cup was for him after several missed attempts. And the most heartbreaking one was back in 2013 when they were eliminated at the death by Graham Susi in the United States, only to have it in reverse 4 years later. It was Roman Torres scoring the goal that eventually knocked out the United States from the 2018 World Cup. And for him, as well as all the Panamanian players and fans, it was one of the biggest moments. But he was well aware, in that interview he mentioned how important it was, not just for that team, for that generation, but to be able to raise the bar for Panamanians in the future that plan on being part of the national team, to understand the new expectations that have been set. Of course, with the incoming board at the Panamanian NFA, there's a lot of changes with a new training ground being talked about. Well, we saw earlier the Jamaican under-15s in the stands. Of course, they were training in the pitch behind that far side of the national stadium, part of a big sporting complex that they have there. Lloyd. Russell, taken away by Castaño, one of 3 Colombians for Árabe Unido on the pitch. And Panama, of course, very understanding of how influential Colombia has been in terms of their play, in terms of how it's been a great ground for many of their top players to develop. Ball serviced into the area, cleared away there by Jabir Johnson. Blas Perez, of course, very aware of that. Won a league title with Cúcuta Deportivo back in 2007. Got to the semifinals of the Copa Libertadores that same year. Garibaldi losing, and here's a good break opportunity. for Arnett Gardens, and as soon as I say that, that's the end of that attack. Morgan. Of course, in the semifinal, Cucuta ended up playing Boca Juniors, the eventual champions. Blas Perez integral in the performance as the ball coming through. Offside, but oh. Yeah, offside by Peñaranda, but Gil was onside. If Peñaranda would have stayed right there, he's offside. But Gil was not offside, and Gil breaks off his run. Of course, as soon as the ball was dead, that was pretty much a moot point. But again, if Gil would have stayed in, actually, if Gil would have made the run and Peñaranda would have stayed, that would have been a totally different story. Reed down now, as he felt something. Nice opportunity here for Reed. Great pass by Morgan. And another corner kick coming up. As again, we'll see what option Arnett Gardens will look for from the set piece. Will they try and go far post? Yes, they do. Trying to win that second ball into the area. Again, Árabe Unido standing tall and clearing the ball away as it goes to Gonzalez, cleared away by Chen, the 24-year-old. Incredible to be talking like that about Roberto Chen. It seems like he's been around forever. He's only 24 years old. And looking to come through and taking away Pereira. But Arnett Gardens pushing forward with more will than skill, with more heart than art. Decoy Williams. All alone on the near side. Here's a good opportunity brewing. And it's Sims, as he hasn't been too involved. Cross into the middle to no one as it's knocked away from everyone. Leslie Heraldes. As Arnett Gardens still waiting for the beginning of their season. Of course, the Red Stripe League will begin in a few months' time. Here's another chance. Fabergil just missing wide. Vishnu Harris getting ready to come on for Arnett Gardens. Coming off will be Marvin Morgan. If you give me a chance to opine, I'd probably say that Marvin Morgan was probably their best player, but you start to see that he's starting to feel the effects of the match. He was already feeling a little bit hurt, and Vishnu Harris coming on. Ball cleared by Garibaldi. As Harris, 25 years old, played for Arnett Gardens in 23 matches last year in the Jamaican Red Stripe League. This time, Fabergil completely offside. Those 3 matches going back to Vishnu Harris scored 3 goals. Looking, at least if you look at it from Jerome Waite's standpoint, Coy Williams, the 31-year-old, looking to knock that ball into the area, and he does. But it's again good work by Jose Garibaldi. Gonzalez. Pereira. Entangled there between the 2 midfielders. Pereira missing on the challenge, trying to filter that ball through over to Giovanni Sims. Good effort off the ground there by Jabir Johnson, trying to go back and forth, but neither back nor forth as that ball gets taken away quickly by Leslie Heraldes. I can start saying right now that Heraldes, as soon as he starts getting more involved, onside. Ooh, I got to see that one again. Looked like onside from this vantage point. Do not be surprised one bit if he was, he was off. Good call there by Joseph Bertrand. Assistant number 1 from Trinidad. Now a good opportunity coming through, and it's 2-1 for Arnett Gardens. Marneil with his first of the tournament. And again, one of the points that Carlos Ruiz did not want. A great run if you see how he was filtered through. He still has enough time and enough presence to filter back slowly to stay on side. And a great finish. Deflection and all. Give a lot of credit on the pass too. Of course, that was the recently entered Vishnu Harris as he comes in and sets it up for this man. 2-1 for Arnett Gardens. That'll be a bit of a consolation for them right now as 1 down, 3 to go. Angel Patrick, another Panamanian international coming onto the fray. As Mauricio Castaño coming off, calling it a night. That's the first substitution of the match for Árabe Unido. So Patrick comes on, Castaño comes off. A bit more defensive stability, or at least that's the intent. Pereira. Again, that's a byproduct of Árabe Unido not being able to secure the ball. So you start to see certain tendencies in their play. And now you start to see in Arnett Gardens get a bit more animated, touching the ball and trying to move it quickly before they're absorbed. And guess who's on the pitch now as well? It's Blas Perez. He also came on as well. As the 38-year-old looking to finish his career with the team that he so loved. Ball recovered in the middle by Gonzalez. Yellow card is going to be issued there as well. Hey, is that Jabir Johnson? Yeah, or no, that was Giovanni Sims. Check that, that was Vishnu Harris. And immediately you start to see Blas Perez. Third and final substitution, Damari Deacon. He comes on and replaces Ricardo Oldham. You start to see Blas Perez, great finisher in the area. More importantly, he's one of those players that with his presence, he can create a lot of disruption looking for Perez, but that's not going to find him. And you start to see Arnett Gardens finding more spaces. Harris, another chance, but that ball just sailing over the crossbar. Not much of a chance there. Deacon, 19 years old. Start to see some of the younger players getting a bit of a chance. Pereira. Blas Perez. And again, you start to see Arnett Gardens with more intent. Garibaldi recovering. Gonzalez. Faber Gil. The run was being made by Leslie Heraldez right down the middle. Of course, the motivation for this team is to be able to win, at least be ahead first and foremost, and start building from there. We've seen a much more dangerous Arnett Gardens. First time you see him as dangerous as they have been since the beginning of the match, as we head into the final 20+ minutes. Just flying right through. Blas Perez waiting. There was Gabriel Brown just trying to take on one too many defenders, and now it's Arnett Gardens going in the opposite direction. Deacon all alone down the left-hand side. As the 19-year-old just waiting to make his run. Finally gets the ball from the big guy in the middle. Fabian Reed now assuming his position. Deacon just camping out, trying to find his place. Now he gets it, turns and serves the ball in, but the ball gets taken away rather quickly. Instead, it's Jabir Brown trying to recover. Now it's Deacon. Deacon trying to go through and get deflected. The idea was there to run onto the ball for Jabir Johnson. Deacon again. Serve it out of the area, a chance to shot. Good instincts there by the youngster to find the open man outside of the box and just unleashing it, just taking a, it was just unleashed onto target, and great save by Miguel Lloyd as things getting interesting now. And that'll be a corner kick coming up for Arnett Gardens once again. Deacon saying, no, let me take it. And that's really interesting to see this youngster starting to take the initiative. Going and say, no, I'll serve it, I'll do it. There's some communication going on through sign language, at least from Gladwin Johnson. The referee from Guyana knows a little bit of Spanish. In that case, of course, he's speaking to Blas Perez in English. Basta. That's what he says, so we'll do it all over again. This time it'll be in swinger. You see now, it was interesting to see how it's set up. Oh, what a chance that just goes through. Looking to curl it to the back post. Damari Deacon. Look at how close it comes through. Of course, everyone say Miguel Lloyd got a fingertip on it. wicked shot he has, at least wicked placement of the ball. Both chances that he's able to serve that ball in from a corner kick. Created some important chances for Arnett Gardens as the Lions continue to press forward. Deacon giving that little bit of energy, of impetus going forward. Looking to serve it in, cleared away, another chance. Here's the ball coming through, and Lloyd scrambles to get that ball amidst the rushing Lennox Russell. Yet another opportunity. There's Tamar Edwards this time. And you see Arnett Gardens with purpose. Arnett Gardens pushing forward. The next goal is the most important one. Of course, I'll repeat that if they do score and say the next one's the most important one as well. Gonzalez has a man down on the far side of the pitch. So for Árabe Unido, as Decoy Williams, remember that Arnett Gardens are out of substitutions. Alexis Palacio coming on for Árabe Unido. And he'll be coming on. We'll see. Looks like Faber Hill, who's been rather quiet. Blas Perez. Deacon serving that ball again, dangerously whipping it into the area. Harris gets the return on it. Harris looking to find someone in red. Get another chance, a shot that goes just wide. And now Árabe Unido a little bit in disarray defensively as Lennox Russell. See right there, Palacio will come on for Faber Hill. It'll be more of a defensive-minded position. That will leave Blas Perez all by his lonesome up top. And Miguel Lloyd goes into the referee's book. That's the first of the night. That's at 76. Blas Perez gives chase. Mard Neal again. And for Árabe Unido, they have an interesting set of matches coming up. Of course, they go into the league play. Their focus will become league play, as they will head on the road and go to Universitario. Matchup between two teams in the Concacaf League. Then back home to play Santa Gema. Ball coming through and cleared out. Not purposely, of course. Then Árabe Unido will go on the road and play Sporting San Miguelito. Of course, one of the derbies in Panamanian football, as Árabe Unido will be on the road to face Tauro. And Tauro's side, of course, they too are looking to advance to the next round of the CONCACAF League. And it'll be interesting to see what they are able to do as far as this competition is concerned. So to see hands starting to be flailed around. Miguel Lloyd getting involved. Reed trying to calm things down. He's trying to be the peacemaker. As Dauda also very close, as it'll be, of course, the recently entered Damari Deacon, who goes into the referee's book at 78. They're smacking someone in the back of the head. Currently the match between Real España and Tauro level at 1. Of course, with that result is the ball scattered around still, no one really being able to control it. For Real España, that means 2 more goals. Tauro won the first leg 1-0. Currently 1-1, as I mentioned. Of course, it's Tauro with the advantage. Now Arnett Gardens looking to get the advantage as well. Coming through, the chance, the shot that gets deflected off of Garibaldi. That away goal looking very valuable for Tauro right now. That would mean 3 Panamanian teams would be advancing as of right now. As Árabe Unido will join, of course, Club Deportivo Universitario. Ball bouncing all over. As the Panamanian League beginning to show how competitive a league it is. Last year in the inaugural edition of this tournament, 2 Panamanian sides reaching the semifinals. Of course, they both ended up losing to Santos de Guapiles and eventual champions Olimpia. Meanwhile, it's looking like only 1 Caribbean team will advance, and that, of course, being Portmore United. Of course, they will look to advance to the next round. They've already advanced to the next round. What am I talking about? Miguel Lloyd. Árabe Unido will be playing, barring any catastrophic collapse, they will be playing Salvadorian side FAS in the next round. Heraldes, to me, the man of the match. That brilliant goal in the 29th minute really was the goal that sealed the deal for Árabe Unido. As that goal really put Arnett Gardens, really put him against the wall, put him up against the sword. Here's a good chance coming through. Blas Perez looking for a handball instead of looking for the ball. round. I was glad when Johnson said, guys, move aside, move along. Felt the contact, and of course the referee sees the hand in the small of the back, and that of course is going to get called all day long. Angel Patrick was going to, but then he thought about it and says, no, this guy's pretty good at it, so Jose Gonzalez will get the opportunity. Damian Hyatt, a couple of interventions today. Was demanded of a great deal more in the first leg. Patrick looking to serve it to the far post as Blas Perez was waiting, but cleared away brilliantly. Veronica Anderson very aware.
Watch it pushing.
Now watch out, you have Chino Ormechea. That's interesting. Ormechea is in the area. Same thing with Blas Perez, so no need to bring in Roberto Chen. Drop him back. That was a handball injury, but the referee doesn't say that. Doesn't call it. Another infraction. It's Palacio going down, and of course he'll take a few more seconds. Pereira. Okay, I'll take it. But overall, see right there the knock that he took to the side of the shin by Damari Deacon, and remember he's on a yellow card caution already, so he can't get too erratic. Another tackle there, and this time, of course, the infraction being called on Giovanni Sims, who goes into the referee's book. Fourth player to have that honor, and that's at 85. As time slowly ticking away, and Árabe Unido would like for it to move a little bit faster, but they don't mind if the ball remains on this side of the pitch. Gonzalez looking for Blas Perez. Chino Ormechea is there in the mix as well. Blas Perez couldn't get to the ball quickly. He's anticipated nicely, and here's a counterattack on the opposite end. Deacon. Referee says play on, gives advantage. On the far side, oh, here's a good chance to do it all over again. But then Fabian Reed gets a bit myopic and decides to turn the goal instead of having the man wide open on the far side to really depend on creating an opportunity. Gonzalez. Again, Gonzalez running onto the ball. Blas Perez not being able to get to it. And that's been the story so far. When Árabe Unido are able to move, as skying through is Chino Ormechea. One of the players that Gary Stempel is called up for national team duty, or at least to get a look. The differences that you've seen with Árabe Unido defending and Árabe Unido with the ball at their feet, two completely different teams. You don't see that security in the back, or you don't see it as much as you did at one point last year. But at the same time, when they handle the ball, depending on who has it, especially Leslie Heraldes, that's when you see a big difference on this side. Again, you don't have a player like Nelson Barahona anymore, so you start to look at players like Heraldes to hold the ball in the middle, to be that metronome, if you will, and that really has been the major difference, as the handball being called. That's the major difference for this team in this edition, going into the latter stages of the 2018 calendar year, which of course will be the Apertura in Panamanian football. Another ball, and here's Decoy Williams, the defender, 3-on-1. Here's a chance for some cherry picking. And oh no, oh. First of all, it looked like Decoy Williams was offside. Deacon was all alone here. And he's like, I'm right here. All you have to do is pass the ball offside on the other end. Unbelievable what was just missed by Arnett Gardens, and that encapsulates everything that has gone wrong with them, although they are winning the match 2-1. As 3 minutes of stoppage time will be given. It's unbelievable as Decoy Williams creating a great opportunity, and it was just, I mean, wasted. Wasted is just really keeping it in light terms, ladies and gentlemen. That to me is preposterous that a chance like that is missed. Deacon has really shown some interesting things in this match. Losing the ball rather casually there. Another ball swung in. Miguel Lloyd tapping it away. Another chance, and oh, another ball. This time it's Decoy Williams in front of goal, in front of a virtually empty net, and hitting it just wide. You can see right here how everything plays out. Williams right there. No comment. So as we head into stoppage time, offside. Clear offside there. Trying to reset, and they're winning because of their chances, but they're not advancing because of their chances. That's all you can really say for Arnett Gardens. 3 minutes, not 33. Just in case you can see in red or you can see in green, just to make sure it's 3 minutes. Some interesting things from the 19-year-old. He really gave a bit more of a lease on life offensively. Blas Perez. We head into the final 2.5 minutes. As Árabe Unido just trying to lock this up at this point. And it'll be a corner kick. But overall, it's been interesting to see this Árabe Unido side. Of course, they need a bit more work. They will get the work. And we will see in the next round how much they can improve and get familiar with one another. Blas Perez is able to nod that ball through. Another chance and another deflection. 2 in a row right there to make it more precise. As Jerome Waite just putting down some notes. He'll join Tapa Whitmore in the coming days as they get ready for their latest camp. Of course, there will be a couple of friendly matches and another offside that's being called. Whitmore, of course, said that he has a lot of faith in a lot of the under-23s, or some of them from Arnett Gardens and Portmore. Those will not be called up, at least for the time being, because of their international responsibilities with their
Yo, te compré esa